I felt like I had to make a video about a certain topic that I feel is pretty important, um, and that is, how do you tell the difference between reality, fantasy, and what's going on in your own mind? You know what I'm saying? Um, I admit this takes skill, you know, um, because I grew up around a lot of fantasy, and God knows this. I grew up around a lot of fantasy, both in like movies or video games or the cult, stories in the cult. I even thought, and God knows, I thought even the Bible was just fantasy, not just the books of the cult. I thought the Bible was fantasy as well. God knows this. I thought it was all bullshit. So I'm one of those people that thought everything was bullshit, you know. So it's only been later in life that I realized, oh shit, Jesus was actually legit. I'm serious. Like later in life. And that's because of him. Like he intervened. You know what I mean? I didn't ask Jesus for help. I didn't think there was a Jesus. He intervened. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I know that part of the Bible is legit. If nothing else, the Jesus part. So, um, so how do you tell? So that mixes things up now. Jesus is a reality. Jesus is true. You know what I'm saying? So what comes from Jesus, you have, if it does come from Jesus, you know, if he's trying to convey something to you, it's not fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Because he's legit. See what I'm saying? But before, when you thought he was fantasy, it would have been different. You know what I mean? Um, so that's how things get tricky. Because a lot of things in this world uh, is bullshit. A lot of it. So you got to decipher between the bullshit that's coming at you or trying to trick you and what's actually true, you know, you know, if it's coming from God, you know. So because now you know God is real. So it changes the fantasy from real. You know what I'm saying? You once thought God was fantasy. Now you realize he's real. See what I'm saying? Changes everything. So you're like, shit, he's real. So I can't just say it's fantasy. I can't just be in fantasy land about it. God's actually real and he's proven it. So you can't be in denial about it, you know? So, but anyways, but you still have to like, and I admit this, um, cut through all the other fantasy that's going on of this world, like the Super Bowl, you know, that fantasy bullshit, that Satan show. Don't even get me into that. Uh, that's his thing, the Super Bowl. I'm serious. That's his. Everyone's eyes are there, so it's just a chance to mess with people's heads, in my opinion. So, and make them think a certain way. So that's why I say, if you're watching television, you're getting messed with by the opposition, big time. Totally, your mind's getting messed with. So, but to each their own. So, anyways, um, but I know that pisses people off when I tell them that you're getting messed with big time by watching television. They don't want to hear that shit. They don't. So I'm like, all right. But anyways, um, so back to the topic. So now, later in life, Jesus is proven he's legit. So you can't just say, oh, he's just fantasy. You can't. You know what I'm saying? So it changes everything. It changes the game. Not the game, but life. It changes life once you realize that. in my opinion. Because like most of my life, I thought there was no God. All the books were bullshit in religion. They're all bullshit. Fantasy stories. You name it. I thought all that. I did. God knows I did. For most of my life, I'm like, this is all bullshit. It's all lies. And a lot of the Bible may not be true, and I've admit that. I don't know if the whole Bible's true. I don't know. I just know the Jesus part is legit. Just that part. His life when he was on the earth and up to the crucifixion. That part is legit. Other than that, I don't know. And I admit that. I don't know any other part. So, and God knows I don't know. A lot of the scriptures do make sense, they do. A lot of them do. So they do seem like it's from God. This is a lot of the scriptures I've read that people have pointed out. So at least some of the Bible might be true as well. So, but like I thought about this, even if some of the Bible is fantasy, God, the real God, will still use it to help you. I'm serious. He'll use it to help you, even if it's fantasy. That's what I've learned. He uses fake stuff, like fake belief systems that you're in, that you believe. He'll use that to help you still, in my opinion. So he'll use anything you believe. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's false. That's what I've learned. So he can help you in any environment, in my opinion. But anyways, so it changes the game. Once you realize Jesus is legit, and you can't deny it, it changes everything, in my opinion. It really does. So, like I said, no matter what happens to me in life, doesn't matter. Jesus is still legit. And I know that. Doesn't matter what happens to me, good or bad from this point forward, doesn't matter. I know he's legit. So I'm like, shit, so even if my heart gives out today, I still know Jesus is legit. So pretty crazy, but anyways, so that's just something I was thinking about, because a lot of people are like, oh, get out of your fantasy land. Get out of your fantasy land. This whole world's fantasy land. This whole planet's fantasy land. If you're watching TV, if you're playing video games, if you're watching movies, you're in fantasy land. If you're reading books, you're in fantasy land. So most of this world is fantasy land, in my opinion. But once you realize that the only thing that isn't fantasy is Jesus, it changes everything, in my opinion. So then you're like, okay, he's legit, and he wants to talk to me. He wants to communicate. He wants to have a relationship with me. You know what I mean? And it's real. So you're like, this isn't fantasy, So you gotta really know when it's him talking to you, rather than something else talking to you. Even if it's your own mind, you got to figure out, you got to understand the difference, in my opinion. And I feel like I have figured out the difference between my own thoughts and Jesus. I feel like I have, but that's just me. But I don't know. Sometimes it's better just to believe in nothing. Just live. You know what I'm saying? And I admit that. Life was so much simpler. It seemed like when I didn't think God was real, life seemed so much simpler, you know. But once you realize that God is real, it changes a lot of things. It even changes how you live life, you know, what you do in life, you know. You even want to give up certain habits, you know what I'm saying? Once you realize God is real, you want to give up certain habits that you have, that kind of thing. So, anyways, and but God knows I have habits that I'm trying to overcome. Not easy though, definitely not. Like lifetime habits, basically. I'm trying to change. You know, it's not easy at all. But anyways, that's mainly what I wanted to make a video about, because it can drive a person nuts to to figure out what's from God, what's not from God, what's from me. You know, it can, and I admit this. But at the same time, God still wants to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? He wants a relationship, so you gotta not care what anybody thinks. Seems like, but anyways, no matter if they're saying you're in fantasy land, you gotta not care about that. You have to just ignore it, what people say. And that's what he said, you know, the lion shouldn't care about what sheep say. That's exactly what he told me the other day. So I'm like, all right. So, but anyways, that's all I want to say. But yeah, that's all I want to say for this video.